deep sigh.
Take a deep breath, dude. Take a deep breath.
Collect yourself. It's necessary. Sometimes.
Dude.
It's.
I love you, brother.
Don't put that on
Dude,
me.
I love
Don't
you.
put that on me. No, I mean, that's
Oh.
honestly how I've been feeling this
The
past
whole
week.
man. This week
With everybody.
was very, very rough.
It put us in a weird mood, which will explain this episode and why we're doing it. Amongst other reasons, we just felt kind of weird doing anything else.
Yeah, it's super hard. Fuck, dude. I felt it was weird.
It was like a haze.
Is like the world, like literally everything stopped. I don't even remember Sunday.
Yeah,
It was just like
Sunday sucked.
I didn't even go to work on Monday.
You didn't.
I was just like, I'm done, dude. I was so.
I wish I
like,
could have done the same.
I was so down. I don't know.
Yeah, it hit us. At least for me, it hit me in a really weird way, and I think a lot of people can look at that and judge and be like, you didn't know him, you didn't whatever.
Yeah,
and
but
it's not that.
But at the same time, there's so many people that feel the way I do, and that you do.
And it's not, obviously this whole tragedy is awful and very sad, but it's not the fact that I'm mourning him, even though, yeah, that's happening. It just triggers other senses of loss.
Oh yeah,
and like who you have in your life.
Yeah, you
and
bring up everything. Like people come together in times like this, and you reconnect with people, and
you're just reminded that your days are numbered, and you really don't know. And for me, it just kind of like I'm just thinking about the people that aren't there anymore, and that have like not taken that chance to be like, look, we just don't know. We never know.
Yeah, dude, it's super hard. We hope you guys listen through this episode because it is different, right? We're doing a short animated film, which is it's only 6 minutes, so we're not gonna be a 2.5 hour episode, but we hope you guys can like honor the legacy together with us, and then also we can just come together in conversation on our social medias and stuff like that. How did it affect you? If you need someone to talk to, Nicole and I are open to do that. Even if we don't know you personally, like I was talking to people that I even know.
Yeah, we all feel it, man.
Like on internet, like over internet conversations. So we're open to that. We don't want it to be like such a downer, so we're sorry. We're going to try to get through it. I'm also going to try to get through it without freaking crying, but
tears.
It was crazy. This week's been crazy. This is the first episode of February by the time you guys listen to this, and it's gonna be the
first episode of February.
No, I don't know what I was gonna say. It's Oscars week, so it's big, and we're coming out of January 2020 with kind of a somber, like dim. So hopefully we can turn it around. Who knew
it would end like that, and all sorts of stuff.
So, yeah, we kind of opened up with like how it affected us. It's crazy to think that it did. And like I said, people texted me that, just like, holy shit, like I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And like they would one of my old friends was texting me, and she's like, I remember when she's known me since I was like 5.
Aww.
And she's like, we used to play basketball outside, and you'd be like, I be Kobe, you be Shaq, because I was smaller than everyone because I was a little kid.
Small fry.
So I just grew up watching them, and like it, my dad was him for Halloween. I remember that one year with the fucking afro and shit when he was.
God, your dad.
Yeah,
Dads
dude,
do that. That's who I text first when I heard the news, and it was just a really like somber moment between me and him, because basketball kind of, it's not our only connector, but me and him, I played basketball in high school, and that was like his proud moments of me, like in those days. And I remember like watching the NBA, and I didn't like Kobe as a player, and but I was a kid, and now looking back, it's like I didn't respect the hustle as a kid, but obviously I do now.
It's insane to look back at it. like you were saying, because we kind of grew up with him in that era.
We really did.
And you don't understand those things until like you're older.
Yeah.
Me,
I was like a huge like playing the sport, and I was not a professional at all. I was good, but I wasn't. You know, I was a huge fan of like passing the ball, and he didn't do that a lot, you know. So I mean, I was kind of like, oh, come on, like you have a team. But
he got a lot of heat for that. And
yeah, but I was a kid and I didn't know.
Yeah, but he was just like, I don't know. He touched. It's bigger than basketball, and that's what's even crazier. Like I follow all of my English soccer clubs on Instagram, and they were posting about it, and because he was a big soccer player too.
Yeah, how it touched everybody.
And you know, he would even go to England and watch games, and like they had pictures of him at their games, and his like it's crazy now because he's 41. He retired in 2016. It's only been like just 4 years, and he's just starting to get his life like not on track, but you know, enjoying the time with his kids now that he has.
Yeah, and then like expanding his craft.
Expanding his business and stuff. And
looking into this movie, you find how creative he was, and
you didn't even expect that.
Yeah, respected the arts like that. And it gave me a new respect for him, and just, you know, made it a little bit more sad.
Yeah.
But he was just very supportive, I think. Of everything, of everybody. And I
Unless
think
you didn't work
that's
hard.
hard. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
If you weren't Mamba mentality, then
get off the court.
But that's the motto for Film Crawl and me personally going forward, 2020, a Mamba mentality.
It's a good reminder.
Because like you said at the beginning, you don't know, and it's weird to think that like it was so out of place. Like you just feel like it wouldn't happen to him, and it sounds like stupid. You're like, what?
Well, that's the celebrity factor, but honestly, you're like...
But dude, like, okay, it sounds really fucked up, but, like, even when Carrie Fisher passed, it was huge. But, like, it wasn't... I don't know. For me, it didn't feel as personal.
It hit a different generation.
Yeah, and it hit a different generation, but, like, was... I don't know, because we knew Carrie Fisher was, like, doing drugs, and, like, she had, you know... It's kind of like subconsciously you're like, oh... It like came up to caught up to her or something. So now this is like you don't know Kobe, you know, he's not going around like getting drunk and like on TMZ and shit like all day.
Well,
but
that's what
and he had that.
That's what gets me about this story is that it was something he did all the time, a helicopter. You know, people hear that and they're like, "Oh, like he obviously should have not have done it," but he's done it so many times. And what do? We drive to work every day.
Driving is way more dangerous than being... You have... The chopper is just like your pilot, the mechanical limitations of it. Like that would be a risk. But in a car, how many people do you drive by in a day?
Well, in the car, it's not you. It's
and
like
you have
other
no...
people
Yeah, and you don't... I mean, in like a mechanical failure, you don't really have control over that in a helicopter, but... in cars, like you don't have control of other people driving, you know, they're driving, or their mechanical failures. So you're just like 100 timesing the, you know, the risk. So I wasn't as people are dumb, for thinking like that was like oh why would you fly like this is obviously like not safe to do all the time. It's like what? How many planes crash in a year?
Yeah.
Versus how many fly.
Really though. We take those chances every day, and you just gotta.
So it's
take them and run, I guess.
It's just crazy. I mean, I had this kind of shock was way more because it was actually a close friend of mine, but not too long ago, like 2 years ago, and they died in a car accident. But just like it's so immediate. So. Yeah. It's sad. The reason we wanted to do this was to just talk about like what Nicole and I are doing, but also because it is still interesting with the film industry, and seeing a player go into the film industry is pretty rare. And some of the times that they do it, it's not the greatest. Looking at
When it feels like a cash grab.
Kazam and Space Jam, like they're
God.
just like these aren't.
Space Jam's a classic though. You can't shit on Space Jam.
But it's garbage.
It's not garbage.
Hey, Kobe's got an Oscar over Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan. He wins.
And
his was 6 minutes. Yeah, but I guess the rumors are LeBron's gonna do a Space Jam.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure they're filming.
Yeah, they're filming it, so we'll probably have to.
We'll see how long that takes to get out, but
I don't know. But this was interesting. This was very heartfelt, and
it was hard to watch after everything that happened.
It was super hard to watch after everything that happened, and it was we did a little bit of research on it, and we watched a bunch of his interviews after with like the Oscars, but
yeah, his Oscar speech was amazing, and
it was so short because Glenn.
I saw Glenn take the mic, and I was like, oh shit! Like,
he took so long.
We gotta.
Kobe talked about that. He was like, oh, he gave me the mic with 5 seconds left, and I had like nothing like.
And he did amazing.
He's like, thank you.
Yeah.
My daughters, my family, like, so. Hey, he did it, and who did it nice and smooth for being like a first nominee. I mean,
for sure.
You got to think, this is a big deal because who doesn't have an Oscar? And Kobe Bryant does. And I know, there's those outliers like 3 6 Mafia has an Oscar,
John
and
Legend.
like John yeah. I guess.
John Legend is talented though.
Yeah,
also,
John Legend is talented. But you got Kobe, and then you have like
3 6 Mafia has an Oscar? You're lying.
I
for
swear.
8 Mile?
I think so. I swear, dude.
I don't want to believe.
100%.
I don't want to believe.
Will Smith doesn't have an Oscar.
Oh yeah.
Joaquin doesn't have an Oscar, which he might win. Leo didn't have one
until a few years ago.
Yeah. So was that the same year?
I don't know. 2017.
Oh, I don't know.
Was when Kobe won.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that was the film came out in 2016. So I don't know. Who else does it? Edward Norton doesn't have one. Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't have one. Jessica Chastain doesn't have one.
I love her.
There's a bunch of people. I was looking at a list. I was like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
So Oscar is a big deal because you see these actors that work their ass off every year.
Yeah.
Chris Nolan doesn't have an Oscar. He's been nominated, but he doesn't have one. Yeah.
Best screenplay?
No, dude.
Are you sure?
Nothing, bro.
I gotta do he has best sound design.
But you do think, he, you do think, well, like personally, he doesn't have one. His movies have gotten stuff.
Yeah.
You do think about the talent that he. Like, sometimes it just feels like odds are against people. Like, Chris Nolan comes out with, like, Inception, but it's stacked up against, like, all these different big movies. Or
yeah, it's kind of like the race.
Interstellar, you would think that it would win, right? But it's stacked up with, like, that year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what Tenet brings this year, and then we'll see.
Masterpiece, I don't know.
And then we'll see what, else comes out. But there's, like, Denis Villeneuve is going to do a movie this year.
He got one for Arrival, though, I thought.
Yeah, but he's doing a movie this year. I'm saying it's going to contend against, Tenet and stuff.
Oh, okay, so gotcha. Yeah, well,
you got to be better, bro.
I don't
Mamba mentality.
One step ahead of the game.
One step, dude. I was watching an interview where he was, in playoffs. It was in playoffs, and I think it was Tracy McGordy. I don't know who it was talking about it, but he was saying, we're playing in L.A. We're playing against Lakers. We're playing against Kobe and Shaq. Like, so this guy, he shows up through like 1 o'clock to shoot around, because you can show up like really as a player. I think like you have a time you have to go to like do the team shooting.
Yeah, if game starts at 5.
But you can go and like do your own. Like you literally like as a player, like I don't know if people like think about that, but they do like live their own lives. Like they drive themselves to practice and stuff. It's like okay, I got to go to practice, So some players show up early.
Well, they come out in snake skins and they have to get them
I know that,
somewhere,
dude. Always the videos of them coming in, just just kidded out, like. And Kobe was this guy. He shows up. He goes in the court. Kobe's shooting around, and then he shoots, they warm up and he shoots around, and then he stops after 2 hours. Kobe's still shooting. And then he goes in the shower, comes back out, Kobe's still shooting. He comes back like an hour later and Kobe was still out there. And then after the game, after they got beat down, he went up to Kobe and he said, dude, like, how long do you sit out there? And he's like, oh, I saw you come in early and I just wanted to let you know that no matter what, I'll outwork you throughout. And like, dude, this guy is savage.
Yeah, he did
Imagine you're like idling him and he's just like, oh, I just wanted to show you that you're a piece of shit.
Let me show you something right now. Yeah, like, get off your ass, bro. Yeah, he did
that's
that
crazy.
shit. But like, it pushed the people.
First one off, or last one off, dude. So
going like this movie that I don't know what, it's like a little animated short.
Yeah.
It's all him. It was based off of a poem that he wrote to announce his retirement.
Yeah, which is I think is awesome.
Yeah. Very not humbling, but very
creative
graceful.
and like different. Everyone just comes out of the press conference. Yeah, this is my last year.
Hey, man. It's been
well, players. Yeah. This is like almost as a death for a player.
Yeah.
And as I would feel this way too, if this pod were to grow and like, you would know it has an inevitable end, or like we would have to do something to like end it. And like, so it's like your baby dying basically. And for him, basketball was his life, which is what he talks about. And, so it sucks. I hate watching players do the normal press conference because they bawl their eyes out like kids, dude. And
well, that's why it's again, like we said, and everyone's saying it's bigger than basketball. This film is not just about. It's about your passion and what you love, and like whether that be your job, your kids, whatever. It's like there's going to be an end to that,
right?
And just knowing that, when you start out with this dream or whatever, you're like, okay, obviously it's going to end soon, but you don't think about that. You think about the glory and like the work that you're doing now.
Yeah.
And then when it gets closer and closer, that's when it starts creeping in, and that's when it kind of takes over. And that's the scary part that a lot of people can't balance, but he did it so gracefully.
Were you going to read it? Or
it's pretty long.
Okay. We don't have to. We can always link it in the.
We can link it for sure.
The video.
Because he wrote it to the Players Tribune, so it's like an actual publication, and it's all here. And I might cry, so I can't.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
I'm holding back stuff right now.
Yeah.
So, I don't.
But he wrote it. He reached out to Glenn Keane,
yeah.
Glenn Keane and John Williams. Like, he reached out to two of these guys, these giants in their industry. He was the one who was like, I want to make this into something. So just to know that he had a soft spot for creative arts, that touches me.
And he was very vocal in getting African Americans into, or in women, and into the Hollywood picture, because that's always a struggle that we've been dealing with.
Yeah. Well, even putting respect to women's basketball.
Yeah. And and people always say like, oh, you need to have a son and like all this stuff, and he has 4 daughters, and like you hear him talk about it and you're like, he does not want a son. Like he doesn't care to not have
and Gianna was a beast, man.
And she was super good. And, Gianna and the, 7 other passengers, it's
families.
It's like the biggest punch. And I just want to call out all like media sources, like, fuck you, because when it first broke about Kobe, then it was Kobe and Rick Fox, which was big for me too. I mean, they played on the same team, and I was like, holy shit. And it seems reasonable, right? Like they're pretty close. And then it was Kobe and all 4 daughters.
That's the first report I got.
And I was
wrecked.
Broken at that point.
Yeah, I was wrecked.
Like Brooke cried in the car when I read that, and I was like, holy shit. Like, you can't. The fact that we can put shit out like that, and I get it's freedom of speech, whatever. Like, the media is supposed to be like informational,
it's
not
about integrity.
and educational. It's not supposed to be, I'm just first to the shot. Yeah. And I retweeted something about Denzel Washington talking about that, and he's like, you guys, it's not about who's first. It's about who can give you the right information, and
especially like, and then pictures
especially
of the crash site,
especially
and
like that.
Just stop.
I don't even know how TMZ knew so quick. I mean, they were the first ones to even talk about it.
Really though,
but yeah, then it was him and his daughters. Like all this shit, dude. Which is just it's annoying because you're going like for people. If I was like literally a friend of his, I would be like out of control, like Shaq and all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you're reading the news and it's just oh, now it's Kobe and all 4 of them. And like these players, they looked at his daughters as like their nieces.
Their family,
and it's absolutely. Like, are you shitting me? And then they like no one retracts it. They're just like, oh no, update.
Yep.
It's like that's so stupid.
If you really think about it, 2 of his daughters are very young.
Mm-hmm.
One's I think 4 or 3, but the other's a baby.
Like,
and so if you really think about it, as a news reporter, you should be smart. And babies do not go on helicopters. So I don't think a baby would be on that like you just.
I don't know.
There's so many things that
it's possible, but
shitty.
As a reporter, you should be worried about your reputation and your like that's for me. I think it's ethically wrong to report something that you don't know, especially
deaths.
Okay, yeah, Kobe's confirmed. We don't know who the hell else is on.
Yeah,
we'll let you know when the fucking investigators ID the bodies.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know. They didn't even know it was Kobe. I mean, like no one. At that time they never identified his body. It wasn't only till like 3 hours later that they actually like took sample and they're like, okay, this is him.
Confirmed.
But like to say all these people is just and it's also I just think it's disrespectful. I mean, even for the other families that lost their lives, I would be mad too.
Yeah.
Like, cause now.
Well, if you're the other 5 people, and then it said 6 people, and in total 9 people died. I
know, but and then if you're the family of like the Altobellis or I forget the last name of the other one, but that was his assistant coach, the other family too, for his daughter's team.
Yep.
And I think he's Chase or something. But if you're those families, you're like, oh, they're safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, they did. Like he was going with Kobe, but maybe something like happened.
Yeah, you don't know.
I'll text him, hey, just making sure you're okay.
I
heard it's Kobe and his daughters.
Yeah.
And then you hear like hours later, like, get it right the first time. Fuck that.
Guys, don't click on those media articles.
I hate reading that, dude.
Don't do it.
And I tweeted it out. That article I highlighted it and I said this is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
For the 4, it said I highlighted the 4 daughters one. It's the same picture I sent you.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Are you kidding? All 4 of them?"
Yeah.
And then it was false. So it's just like it's so frustrating.
It's the world we live
to live in this fucking
sad.
In this media. Like, I can't trust anything. And we didn't even want to trust that. So that was just me calling them out. I mean, no one's gonna listen to that, but
I will.
Yeah, I love. Let's just talk about it. I know we've kind of just talked about Kobe and his legacy and stuff, and he was so big outside of it. But if you guys do want to hear about the movie, we're gonna get to that here.
It's a sweet little one.
It's so good, and it's also kind of like sad.
His signature is very nice. Did you see this?
Dude,
his signature is.
How do you like? I don't know.
It's beautiful.
If we ever hit like famous, like my sig is gonna be ugly.
Same. Mine's uglier than yours.
People are gonna
yours.
Be like, "Wow, Nicole's signature is really cool." You're like,
Sam, have you seen mine? You have not seen mine. If you're saying that, it's bad. I'm not doing it on camera. I'll show you later.
Show on camera.
It's bad.
But
he actually wrote a poem. Like, that's such a.
It's so. Man. It's cool, and I love this line. My heart can take the pounding, my mind can handle the grind, but my body knows it's time to say goodbye. Like
that hits me.
That's the inevitability of like you can't do this forever, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And he played 20 freaking years of basketball
for the same
the same team. I mean, he got drafted to the Charlotte Hornets when he got drafted, and then they
18.
traded over. Yeah, and then they
17,
just traded
18.
him. but like you know that's such a long time. Like I'm fucking 24. Like he played 20 years of basketball, but he knows, like, you know, it was hard watching him towards the end with like his injuries and his
you could just tell that he knew
his health. Like he was getting burned by the other young guys, and it's like, all right,
you tell it was getting to him.
Yeah, like he's at his end, and it's kind of sad. But that man was still make a clutch shot.
But he also knew when to bow out, and that's hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah, you have to. You have to know when to quit.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for like someone who works as hard as he did.
Yeah.
He's a great narrator. Like,
dude, he is. He's got a good voice.
Yeah, it's his story basically, and it's his narration over Glenn Keane's animation.
Which
and it really
feels, I love it.
Yeah, it feels like a Disney short, which he did work for Disney for a long time. But it was all pencil, right?
Pencil shading. I love that's what I love about it. It's not like like a 3D animation. Yeah. And Kobe talked about it. I watched an interview with him, and he was like, I really wanted it to be 2D.
Nice.
Because he said that there's imperfections in those drawings, in those lines, and nobody's like really perfect, but he like had something about like the imperfections of like the lines, or like his like just like the way that you draw.
Sometimes it gets blurred in a sense. And it just grounds it in like reality of.
But it just feels good. It feels good to watch. I don't know what it is.
It
feels like you're watching like an old Mickey type thing, but
it feels like you're watching a dream.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, it is kind of. Well, I think maybe that's he's reflecting on his life.
Yeah, because it does blend into these big moments in Kobe's career, and from really the overall message is like that passion and that little kid inside you is always with you.
Yeah.
And that's what.
That's what you love about it. He's just do what you love. He always said, like, do not, if you hate your job, quit.
Yeah.
Why do people stick around for that? Like, do what you love, and you will get rewarded in the end if you put that Mamba mentality to it.
Pod motto right there. You got to get on it. Glenn Keane actually, he did new techniques.
Oh, really?
For this movie, yeah, the animated sweat.
Yeah, how was
Kobe.
that?
He
it's almost like it's like stop motion, but like
so he
like
took pictures. Book? He put like graphite paper over the drawings that he was doing. Would take a picture from his iPhone and like turn it into a negative.
Oh,
and so it was like black and white.
So it looked like it was on his body.
Yeah. And obviously did stuff with like shading and stuff, but like the animated sweat was huge.
It was super cool, and it was like flipbooky. It's flipbooks.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it did kind of feel like.
Because the way that it moved, and it was in like 24 frames per second, so it's like it's not like smooth butter.
Right. It's not fluid.
But I just like it, the aesthetic of it. It feels like you could touch it, or it feels like you can feel the picture.
It's like one of your daydreams. That's truly what it felt like. It's like as a kid in school, and you're in high school, and you're like, oh my god, like when's school over? And you're just like daydreaming. It's like kind of like that. Yeah,
it just feels like you could have that book in your hand and flip through it.
Yeah.
I watched it. It's like 5 minutes and 40 seconds, but it felt long.
It did feel long.
I was like zoned, and I know this is I rewatched it after the tragedy, so like. Now it's even worse to watch, but it felt like an eternity that I watched it. I was like, just like mouth open like the whole time. I didn't really hear any words.
Oh, see, I was the opposite. I focused on his narration.
I didn't hear any words, dude. And I was wearing headphones, and it was almost like I was just watching it. And subconsciously I heard, but I wasn't listening, and it was more of like my reflection on like me growing up with him.
Yeah.
So it I didn't read any words, and that's why after I texted you, and I was like, we need to find the poem, because I was like, I can't even fucking listen to it. Like I couldn't listen, so I had to find it, and that's why I sent you the link. But I was like, now I can read it and kind of hear, and then when I read it, and then
you go along with the story.
Yeah,
he really
you could
wrote
see
it. Oh, well, he didn't write it for. Maybe he did. I think he wrote it like with a story in mind. Because it does feel like when you read it after watching the film, you can go along to the parts and you can pinpoint the little moments.
The thing I like about it is it's not like, oh, here's my awesome career, like here's my great moments.
Right.
And even the animation doesn't really focus on that. It actually
it's like a little blip.
Yeah, it only focuses on his childhood and in him making it and doing what his dream. And I love that. And in him writing it, this is kind of how I would write it. Like, you don't want to write like, oh, I had, I scored this many points and did this many things and it was awesome. But it's like, that's not what it's about. So you really get the perspective of what it is about. It's about him still doing what he loved when he was a little kid, like dreaming of doing that. And now he lived his career doing that through all the things, injuries, ups and downs, family troubles, rape, freaking conviction, like that. Being arrested, like all that stuff, and like I went through all that, and I remember times where I was like, I hate Kobe, like for all this shit,
right?
Well,
and that's another thing, like we don't know the whole story.
We don't, but like it's just bad luck. It's hard to. We see those stories now with players, and you're like, oh, that guy's an asshole. Like, even though you don't know if it's true, but if people are coming out saying stuff, you get kind of
it's hard, man.
But I know a lot of people too that were Kobe lovers and like, fuck this guy, like this is not worth it. But now everyone's reflecting on it, and he turned his life around, and he really was gonna do a lot of good things, and he really wanted to do more movie stuff, and that's what made me sad. I would love to see more writings of his poems. I would love to see if he just stayed in this animated short, but he developed, or he was working with a company, production company, to bring interns in to do these types of animations for people that are young that will want to do that in their lives, because he was trying to help them. And I watched there's an interview with him and Jimmy Kimmel, and he was talking about that, like, we're bringing young people in, we want them to be able to express their feelings, and he Jimmy Kimmel's like, are you ever gonna act? And he was like, no. He's like, no way. But he really wanted to push Hollywood to change the way that the things were. So, cheers to that. But
we didn't even
you follow the Instagram, you'll know what we're drinking. We're drinking a Stoic cider.
I downed my Stoic cider.
And we're not very stoic right now, but I don't have dislikes for this. Even before, I never disliked it. When I watched those Oscars, I was like, that's cool. Like, I didn't even watch it until he won, and then I went and watched it.
I remember watching that ceremony, and like I didn't know that he was, because I didn't really follow it at all. I didn't. So when his nomination came up and they were showing a clip, how it's like, they named the movies. Really the animation, it was like, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like Kobe did something. That's a movie, and the music is what pulled me
John
in.
Williams is great.
So
short, so good.
It was probably amplified, of course, for TV, but like I was just like, oh wow, like that seems very pretty. And I don't know, I'm a sucker for basketball, so I was just kind of like, oh, okay, cool.
It does seem very dreamlike, and it's really, really a good animation. Like I said, guys, if you haven't seen, just go watch it. It's 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I think they're taking it away from places.
I don't know. I mean, it was on YouTube, and I don't know.
They did release after the tragedy. They released it for free. But I think they're taking that away. I'm reading different articles.
Again,
I found it.
Again, what are you gonna trust? Like, one article says they're taking it, the other one says they're not. Fuck it, dude.
But definitely read the poem at the Players Tribune.
Yeah, that will stay up there because it's.
Yeah, just type in Dear Basketball Players Tribune. You'll find it.
And it's great.
It's a good read, and that's exactly the narration for the movie.
So as
and it is a beautiful like send off.
Do you know what type? Is this just free poetry, or is it a certain style? Do you know? I haven't.
Fuck.
I'm not into.
You're calling out my writing.
No,
skills,
I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying, do you know?
No, there is. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like a form to it.
There's some rhyme. It's like 1-2 rhyme.
Yes, yeah.
Or 1-2 1-2.
I only have my associate's degree, and I stopped going to school forever ago. So,
We're trying to grind, dude.
Also, it's all about free mind, bro.
It is.
Do
No,
what
I
you love.
love
Yeah.
so the
But
movie.
there is something.
The
there
movie
is,
Patterson with Adam Driver is like he did like free poetry.
What movie? I need to see this immediately.
Yeah, I don't know how you haven't seen it.
When did it come out?
2015, 14 era.
I'm wet for Driver, guys.
Patterson, dude.
Is it black and white?
No, it's not. It's not.
It looks
what
like
year?
it crushed
What year?
my heart. All right, 2016.
Okay. He does free poetry.
I remember seeing a trailer.
I saw
for
this, dude, and I started writing free form poetry. I actually have one in my book, dude. In my book. What?
A poetry book or what?
I actually have
You
a
wrote a
couple poems. It's free form
that
though.
you wrote?
Yeah,
Brother,
from scratch.
I'm proud of you.
Dude.
I've been writing poetry lately, actually, also.
But that movie got me into it. I was like, oh, you could just write free form. Like, you don't have to know, like, haiku or, like, all this. You know, like, when we learned that, you're like, oh, I don't know.
That's what poetry is. It's about, like...
It's art. It's like another form of art.
It's your feelings. It's like, it's you. Don't give a shit about anybody else. They can interpret it how they want to. If they stick to an experience... Like, with this... Honestly, yes, it's about basketball and saying goodbye to a career that you loved. But that fucking stanza, like... And that's okay. I'm ready to let you go. I want you to know now so we both can savor every moment we have left together. The good and the bad. We have given each other all that we have. That can be for relationships.
It could be a lot of stuff. It could be a lot of stuff.
Like a goodbye. Good God. Like, just don't limit yourself,
or,
guys.
you know, freaking death, too.
Yeah,
like
death, absolutely.
When he said that in it, I was like, oh, my God, I'm about to lose it.
Yep.
It's sad, but... That's all we have, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's so again, this is something new. We haven't done it before. It's a super short video film, 5 minutes. So I don't think we should rate it.
We're not going to rate it.
Yeah,
the reason why we'll talk about the reason why we wanted to do it. First off, this is probably our you could call it the quote unquote most controversial episode we've done.
Oh God. No.
You know, cuz people are just react weirdly about things, but
if anything, Joker's pretty controversial.
Yeah, that's it. We wanted to do this because not only because Nicole and I had a strong reaction to it, but because it is still Oscar season. It won an Oscar. It's Kobe Bryant. He just died tragically, and we wanted to honor that. I
don't think we really could have done anything else.
And I wasn't in the mood to do anything else. I mean, it happened. It was Sunday, and then Monday morning, you know, we kind of breathed a little, and I said, Nicole, we need to do Dear Basketball. Yeah. Or I just sent you Dear Basketball. I think
you emailed me the link.
Yeah. I just sent you the link, and I was like, are we doing this? Because we both weren't in the mood to come up with another episode, really. So,
like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I went to work, came home from work, and like wanted like to go out and read or work, and I couldn't. I like stayed home and I watched Parks and Rec.
You're just kind of like stuck.
Yeah, exactly. Stuck. I was just like, fuck, like I can't find anything. I can't find joy from anything right now.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about it and kind of get our hearts out there.
Yeah.
We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, you know, you can let us know. If you don't want this type of stuff in the future, we can definitely stay away from it. But
we're still growing. We're still learning.
Yeah, but that's, you know, if stuff really does affect us, and we don't do anything on this show that we think, you know, that we say, oh, it's gonna perform well.
Oh, never.
We do stuff that
we did Hangover, for God's sake,
at a random time of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
We do stuff that we want to do. So, you know, you guys, I do respect everyone's opinion, but if something does come up and you're like, don't talk about it, like, I'm sorry, if we want to, we will do it. You can always ignore the episode and wait for the following week. But with that said, you know, it's Tuesday, it's February. We hope you guys have a great week. Fill out your Oscar ballots.
Do it.
Send them to us on DM and Instagram or Facebook message
email.
Or Twitter. Tweet it at us. Email filmcrawlpodcast@gmail.com. That way we can kind of see who wins. Like, is anyone going to beat us? Like, I want to know how good
I feel pretty good about it this year.
I mean, a lot of people are going to probably pull out smacking ballots. Like, you know. If you want your ballot to count though, and you want us to like shout you out for winning out of everyone that submits, it needs to be in before the Oscars happens because I don't trust y'all asses. Oh, sorry, Sam, I got it in. I missed 2.
We've been scarred a little bit.
I only missed 2. It's okay. Sound mixing, sound editing.
Our old job, the spreadsheet, there was highlights though. It's like before the announcement got called,
and then
like,
they changed. You're like,
all right, slacking on the side.
And then this week is also our Patreon episode, our first ever Patreon episode, and that will be out on Thursday, so 2 days from now.
Do we want to say? Do we have some patrons right now? Do we want to say anything about that? Or
yes, we want to thank all the first patrons that came out and signed up even without any content out.
Thank you. Yeah, just by us posting it on our Instagram. I guess you saw that link and you decided to what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Support us. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. They came out right away.
Well, we could just say first names, or if you don't even want to name them.
You can name them first names. Blaine, Brooke, Cameron, Edward, Gabe, and Nicole. Thank you guys for
not me.
not this Nicole.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being a patron. Right away, you guys will have your first episode out here shortly. Mm-hmm. And then we will also have additional content that Nicole put a lot of work into to write really for you guys. The episode, if you're not a patron yet and you're like, what? I want to sign up. It's like you heard in the intro, Film Crawl. It's patreon.com/film crawl. We have one tier. It's $5. You can sign up for exclusive episodes once a month. Voting rights on future normal podcasts that come out onto all the episodes.
You get to pick the movie that we do.
And just bonus behind the scenes stuff, pictures, videos of us like elsewhere. Like if we go to festivals, like there's going to be behind the scenes stuff that you guys will get eventually to see. So all that, you're able to do that.
Just a big shout out to Rick Lee from Let's Be Realistic podcast. Yeah. Rick Lee and Patrick, they do the podcast together. They just did a great episode on Building 7.
Fucking love it.
So they are
because I love conspiracies.
Our conspiracy desires. They work really hard on their podcast. They put a lot of research into it, which is something that we're just starting to do, and it's rough, guys. Like. They do launch their episodes every other week, so they do have the time, but still, like,
it is hard.
It's hard. And they're I just love their vibe, and I'm a little biased to Rick Lee because I miss working with her, and she's just a great person to talk to. But they're just so fun and like lively, and they know how to keep a podcast going. Yeah. So.
And their website is lbrpodcasts.com.
They have an actual website.
They have an actual website. You can go. You get all their links.
They have merch. They have stickers. Cute little ones. They're really good.
So they're great if you guys love like educational podcasts or you learn something new. Yeah, history.
True crime. They're just starting to do.
They reformed their podcast to do that, and I was I was all for it.
Yeah.
We love you, Rick Lee and Patrick. And then we also want to shout out Pod Part Dude. They just came out with season 2.
Season 2's back.
And Cameron and Carrie, they're just amazing.
They support us so much.
They do so much for us, and we love, and so does LBR. You guys are truly like great friends, and we love working with you guys.
You're pillars to this podcast, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we like to support all of our friends out there. We hope you guys hop over there though. If you haven't listened, like literally go listen to the Building 7 episode.
It's really good.
Everyone knows about 9/11, unfortunately. So this is really good stuff you guys got to listen to. Mm-hmm. And then go listen to Pop Part Dude's second season. It's starting off great. It's starting off great, and I'm glad they're back and they're hitting it hard. So that's all we have. We love you guys. We love everyone that listens. Thank you, patrons. If you haven't signed up, like now's the time to do it. It's Tuesday.
It's fresh.
It's Tuesday and
stuff is launching.
Stuff is coming out.
I wrote an essay for you guys. That's not homework.
A little like cheat. I think you only get charged on the first. So if you sign up on Tuesday, it's not February 1st.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just don't hold me against this because I don't know yet. But I'm pretty positive you could get kind of that February on you, free on us, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Patreon decides when they charge you.
This one's on us, guys.
Yeah. So if you want to just give it a try, the extra content and listen, as $5. And we get a little slice of that and helps us bring better content. So
we want arms, guys.
That's a cheat. That's a cheat that no other freaking content creator would tell you about, honestly.
You're welcome.
So we just want you guys to get on there because we think there's going to be a lot of good stuff.
We feel really good about
that
it.
You're going to like because we've heard do this, do that, do that. And I'm like, we can't do all this on the normal show. So I'm like, we got to get some commission for this. Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoy. We will see you guys next week. Patrons will see you on Thursday. Cheers. And we're going to do a little 24-second silence, moment of silence for Kobe. So if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening, nothing's going to happen here. So
yeah.
Nicole and I will turn off our mics and we'll kind of just be chilling here. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.